friends. Good morning. We've got some connectivity issues here, so we'll see how this all plays out. But we're ready to rock this morning. So I'm just going to take some time to clear the space, to mark this as sacred energy. Thanks, Jojo. We'll see how this one goes. So if there's anything that you like to do that makes things special, if you have a special candle that you'd like to light, maybe some incense, if you have a tea that you love, anything that can sort of make this more of a ritual, something that can awaken your senses, your smell, your sight, the sound. Maybe you play some soft music in the background for yourself. I would love to play music on these videos, but then I think the Instagram wouldn't allow them because of copyright issues. So I've chosen not to do any music here. So good morning, Mimi. All right, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for choosing to start your day in this way. And if you're not able to join us live, I know many of you join on the replay. Thank you so much just for carving out time for yourself. This is so important. And it's really countercultural just that we would do this, that we would show up for ourselves in this way. And so I'm so proud of you for doing so. My intention behind this morning ritual is that we would learn to get into some sort of groove about starting our day mindfully, starting our day on purpose, starting our day really connected to our own essence and our own desires and really our own work, actually, like starting the day connected to what we're trying to heal and what we want to accomplish and how we might like to do that. You know, the subconscious mind basically wakes up in the morning and starts wherever it left off the night before. And that's how a lot of us kind of get into trouble, right? Is that that works as long as the story that you're writing in your life is one that you want to continue. But if you want to change that story, you have to interrupt that unconscious pattern where you just sort of wake up and then respond to your day. And more often than not, what happens in those scenarios is that you just kind of find yourself on the same sort of loop, the same sort of repeat over and over. So we're here to interrupt that loop, to interrupt that pattern for myself, for you, for all of us, and to say, gosh, what would it be like if I just paused and got rid of all the rules, like all the things that the world tells me about how to meditate or how to do yoga or how to be mindful, and just find ways that are really that really let it in, that really allow the work to touch me, that allow my life to be different. Something that I find is that people, will do yoga or they'll meditate or they'll have all these practices, and it's gotten to this place where we just check them off the list, and we're like, well, I'm doing all these things. Why don't I feel better? Right? And I want to really bridge that gap of like, you're doing all the right quote unquote things. Why aren't they making you feel better? And so on Wednesday mornings, this is sort of like an attempt to really connect those dots so that you can hit the buckets that you want to hit with all of your practice, so that you actually get filled up, that you actually start to heal, that you actually start to move forward from where you were before. So that's why we're doing this. And then this morning, we're gathered together today to talk about creating an internal sanctuary. And so this is a concept that's near and dear to my heart, and I hope that it will be really, really useful to you today. So before we officially get started, I'd like to invite you to put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and close your eyes if that feels safe to you. And we'll just take some deep breaths together here. So take a full breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go. Again, breathe in fully, richly, deeply. Big release, exhale. One more time, take a full breath in. And a big breath out. As you're ready, you can just sort of linger in this moment, just choosing to believe that there's something here for you this morning, that these words are meant for you this morning, and that the potential for you to be closer to yourself at the end of all of this is vast. So this is all for you. Let's take another big breath in here. And a big breath out. And as you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. All right, here we go. So, what is an internal sanctuary and why might we desire it? In my experience, before I quit drinking, I didn't really know that an internal sanctuary is something that I could create for myself. I was looking for the outside world, the circumstances of my life, to align in such a way that made me feel good enough so that I could start to feel good about myself internally, right? And that was a big loop that I was caught up in, especially when I was drinking. And I see this in myself, I see this in the people in my life, I see this in my clients, is that we have this tendency to want to put our power outside of us, that we put all of our eggs in the baskets on the outside when really the eggs go on the basket on the inside. That's such a weird analogy that I've literally never used before. But when I was drinking, I was in this loop of not feeling good on the inside, not seeming to be able to configure life the way I wanted it to be on the outside. And then I personally had an inability to be able to sit with that tension, that uncomfortability that led to me, that I didn't feel good on the inside and the outside I couldn't seem to affect it. And so maybe I felt sort of helpless or something like that. And so I drank, right? And I drank over, like, on top of that cycle, right? And what the drinking did is it numbed me out and distracted me, and it created a false sense of an inner sanctuary. It created a false sense of escape for me, where, like, I couldn't bear what was on the inside. I didn't feel like I could fix what was on the outside. And so when I drank, it just gave me like a few hours of respite of trying to figure that out, of trying to sit with that tension. But then the drinking itself sort of took over, right, and led to its own set of problems. So then I couldn't get to the root of the problem as it was. Does that make sense? Then the drinking kind of put this layer over the top of everything that I couldn't see, that, I was trying to use my outside circumstances to create inner peace. So one reason that I think that I haven't heard a lot of talk about an internal sanctuary. And I wonder if part of the reason for that is that people don't know that it could exist. People aren't looking to try to create an internal sanctuary because as a society, we're so used to numbing out. We're so used to distracting. We're so used to just staying busy and keeping our hands moving that then we don't ever have to stop and pause and be with any of these things and develop the skills to actually hold them and sort through them and create something else for ourselves. How does this sound so far? Does this feel resonant to you? So right before I quit drinking, I had a falling out with someone who was very, very important to me, and it was totally my fault. And I had to work that whole emotional process of losing that person. I had to work that all out for myself. And what I learned, because I wasn't drinking and I had taken alcohol off the table for myself, I had to move myself through the pain of this process without turning to alcohol. And that was when the concept of the inner sanctuary really became alive for me. I might get emotional because I remember laying in bed and I was so upset, I was so devastated about what had happened and the fact that I couldn't fix it. And the sadness and the pain inside was almost more than I could bear. I mean, you know what that feels like, right? When you carry it with you throughout your day and you can't stop thinking about it and you have this kind of sense of burden and dread all the time. And then when you go to bed, it's like you can't stop thinking about it, and so you can't even find peace when you're sleeping. And these are just emotions. This was a long time in the past, but clearly there's still something there, which is totally fine. But I learned in that moment that I had to figure out a way to hold space for myself that didn't lead me to drinking. And so I had this beautiful visualization that I'll share with you at the end of our practice today, where I was able to sort of allow these feelings kind of during the day, but then by night I would say, enough is enough. I need to get my sleep. I need some peace. And so I'm going to ask all of this to kind of go away for a little bit, and then I would do my process to have my internal sanctuary. And that was really helpful for me, and it allowed me moments of groundedness. It allowed me moments of peace and clarity internally. It allowed me a respite from feeling so upset about what was going on, that I was able to actually put my feet on the ground, develop some internal coherence and move myself forward. So I'll share that with you here at the end. But that's sort of why that's why I initially began working with this concept of internal sanctuary, and it's something that I come back to for myself over and over and over again, because I still don't drink, and so I need a way to hold space and to process this for myself. So Abraham Hicks, if you're familiar with them, Abraham Hicks is Esther Hicks is the female human embodiment form, and she channels the spirit Abraham. And together they teach about this concept called an inner being. Right? And so Abraham teaches that anytime you feel discomfort in your life, anytime you feel frustrated or annoyed or mad or angry, it's a signal that your inner being is out of alignment with whatever's happening in your life, right? And that's your opportunity then to go more into your inner being, to go more into your inner energy, to go more into like what you want to bring to the table, rather than allowing yourself to get pulled and distracted and have your energy eroded by outside forces. So that's kind of my synopsis of their work. But if you're interested in this work, I would recommend listening to Abraham Hicks podcasts or their resources. They've got a really beautiful community, so that could be one avenue for you to explore. But this concept of the inner sanctuary, it's all about learning how not to try to control your outer world to guarantee inner peace, but rather creating an inner world where your peace cannot be taken from you. And that might sound like a pipe dream, right? And creating an inner world where your peace can't be taken from you, like that's a pretty bold statement. But I want to say that this is all a practice, and it's not perfect. Like I find a lot of times that my peace is taken from me, that I allow outside the reality of the outside world to take away or change my inner state, my inner being. But and that's part of being human. That just happens. But the practice then is to notice it and to realize that I am actually in control of my inner state, and that I can choose to protect it from whomever and whatever I wish, and that whenever I feel myself getting pulled away from the inner state that I long for, I have the opportunity to bring myself back. That is fully within my control, and it's actually 100% my responsibility, right? And sometimes those words are a little hard to hear, because we live in this world, like I really want to validate your circumstances, that, relationships are hard, jobs are hard, families are challenging, people have medical conditions come up, people have sick people in their lives, we're living in very uncertain, destabilized times, and people's finances are changing, and all sorts of things are happening. So I'm not here to do this spiritual bypassing toxic positivity where I'm like, protect your inner peace at all costs. That's not what I'm saying. Here's what I am saying. What I'm saying is that life will never stop lifing all over you. What I'm here to say is that the family members that cause you pain and push your buttons and trigger you again and again and again, they're probably not going to stop doing that, right? Or if they do, it's not going to be anytime soon, and it probably won't be a perfect effort, right? What I'm here to say is that all of these things that keep pushing your buttons, all these little things that keep eroding away at your peace, are probably always going to be there in one shape or form. So if you're waiting for all of those things to get solved before you can be happy, then you are going to be waiting a very long time. Okay? So you have a choice. You can either continue to wait for the outer world to conspire so that you can have peace, or you can take responsibility for the way that you want to feel every day, and you can start to learn to participate with it in a new way that brings you more peace. That That's like a mic drop right there, okay? But that's really where we're at, right? And that might sound harsh, maybe it is, but for me it's the reality. And you can say all these things in your head, well, it shouldn't be that way, and people should just act right, and they should treat me better, and I deserve more, and all of those things may be true, right? But it doesn't change the fact that if you wake up every day and don't love the way that you feel inside, and you're waiting for everything on the outside to conspire to change that, it doesn't change the fact that you might be waiting for a while. Okay? When you've put all your eggs in the outer basket, when given all your power to your circumstances, then you've given all your power to your circumstances. So I would encourage you to see what you can do to take your power back, to start to change your mind, to change your thinking, to give yourself permission to be happy on the inside, even when things aren't perfect all around you, to still be happy inside, even when the people around you don't treat you exactly the way you want, to still find peace and purpose and trust and hope, even in this world that is very unpredictable, right? And, continues to be more and more so, right? So this is an act of fierce self-love. This is an act of fierce responsibility to say, you know what? I deserve to feel good living inside of this system. I have one life. I have one opportunity to open my eyes every day and actually enjoy myself, or to actually have homeostasis and harmony inside of my inner world, my inner experience. And so I'm going to just start. I'm going to start wherever I can, and I'm going to build it. Okay, so that's the opportunity that we all have today. What else do I want to say? So tonight I'm hosting a class about manifestation, and we're going to talk about this there as well. But here are some tools and tips and tricks that I will offer you in order to be able to do this. So what I would like to offer you is this. What is the primary unwanted emotion that you find yourself living in most frequently? So is it jealousy? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it resentment? Well, just start with one. You can do this with as many emotions as you have, right? But we'll just start with one because no need to overwhelm. So what's the primary unwanted emotion that you would say dictates your inner experience, right? And then I will ask you, what is on the other side of that? What's the 180-degree opposite of whatever it is that you're experiencing, right? So maybe it's anger. Maybe you wake up and you're just pissed every day, right? I get it. It happens. I've been there too. Maybe you just wake up and you're angry. You're pissed. So what's the exact opposite of being pissed? Would it be like joyous? Would it be expectation? Would it be hope? Would it be, I don't know, you fill in the blank for yourself. So one side of the coin is anger, the other side of the coin is joy. So can you see that to get from anger to joy is probably a big leap, right? And this is something that we're going to go into tonight as well, is like your nervous system, like all of this work is only as good as your nervous system will tolerate it. So if you're angry, if you're inflamed, if you're resentful, if you're just pissed all the time and then you try to go for joy, your body is literally going to give you the bird and say, what are you talking about? Joy? I don't understand joy. You want me to embody joy? Like, it's too big of a leap, and your nervous system isn't in a place where it can recognize it or receive it, right? Easily. So then I would ask you, if joy is on one side, or if anger is on one side, joy is on the other side, what's a bridge emotion? What's something that's in the middle of those two that will bridge you from one extreme to the other? And usually the bridge emotion is something more neutral, like neutrality, or like acceptance, or like open-handedness, or something like that, right? So what feels good to you? What could you practice on your way to practicing joy, or whatever is on the other side of that unwanted emotion for you? And so Your work then would be to take those two other emotions, not the anger, but the other two, and really try to see how you can practice feeling, especially like maybe just feeling acceptance, being with acceptance, embodying acceptance, if that's your neutral emotion. So the practice then, okay, so one of the problems is that when we're trying to change our inner state and our minds keep focusing on the problem, then what happens is when you think a thought, it creates a chemical reaction in your body and creates a corresponding feeling. So when you stay focused on the problem, then that feeling stays alive in your body. If you keep focusing on no one treats me right, no one gives me what I deserve, that anger just keeps alive, keeps alive, keeps alive, keeps alive. So part of this work is choosing not to focus on that problem anymore, but to shift your mind to the solution, right? To live in more of the solution. Okay, so what do I want instead? Who do I want to be instead? How do I want to feel instead? And then devoting all of your energy to that part of the equation by way of those two alternate emotions that you've defined for yourself. And then when your mind starts to try to figure things out and go into all this story, all you have to say is, no, 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 I'm just coming back to this emotion. I'm just practicing acceptance right now. That's it. I don't have to go into a story. I don't have to figure it out. I'm just practicing feeling acceptance in my body right now so that one day I will create space to experience joy instead of this anger. Okay, so that's sort of like the how of like, how do I change my inner state? How do I change my inner being? It's a practice. So many of us are looking for this one and done. Like, I want to have this one big epiphany and it's going to change my life. I'm going to have one session and it's going to change my life. I'm going to hear this one thing and I'm going to be completely different forever. And I mean, I guess it can work that. I think Hollywood has done us a big disservice because that's sort of how all of this stuff is portrayed in Hollywood. Sometimes it can happen like that. Like, I believe in miracles. I believe in magical healing. I believe in all those things. And also, like, it's usually like this big epiphany that's then supported by all these integrated practices, right? So at the end of the day, we need to know how to do these skills, and they're just a practice. So if it doesn't come naturally, that's a good thing, right? If it feels hard, that's a good thing. If it feels weird and foreign, that's a good thing because that shows you that you're doing something different, that you're creating a new pathway, a new behavior, and your body, your whole system is like, what is this? This seems so foreign. That can actually be a good thing and a sign that you're on a new path, that you're carving a new way. So please don't be deterred by any resistance that you find. Resistance on the path to transformation can be a good signal that you're carving a new path, and it's just showing you what needs to be healed in order for you to continue to do so. Okay, so I've done a lot of different things. We've talked about a lot of different things. We're going to go into this little practice here at the end. It'll just be kind of short and sweet. But before we do that, I want to give you one more how, okay? So when it comes to creating an internal sanctuary, we talked about, what are you experiencing? I'm kind of all over the place, but I like it. So I sometimes it's like I don't want to be negative in order to get to positive, but sometimes looking at the quote unquote negative sensation or the unwanted sensation in your life can then help you build a bridge towards what you do want. So when we start with, okay, here's my inner sanctuary, here's my inner being, it feels really angry. What we can do is we can use that anger to then build a pathway out. And that's what you did when you identified those other two emotions. So knowing what you don't want can be a beautiful benchmark to sort of a guardrail to sort of push you towards what you do want. So the practice then of building the internal sanctuary is then practicing those alternate emotions and teaching your body to live in the safety of those alternate emotions instead of the anger, instead of the resentment, instead of whatever it is that your body now has been doing for so long that it habitually falls into. Okay? So that's the how of creating the inner sanctuary. And here's one practical example that you might consider is that good morning, is that you can look at your calendar every day. So you can wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I'm practicing acceptance and I'm practicing joy. And you can look at your calendar and you can scan it and you can ask yourself 2 questions. Where am I going to get tripped up on this today? So say you have a meeting with someone that sort of presses your buttons. That's a place where your inner being, your inner sanctuary could be jeopardized. So that's an opportunity for you to go into that part of your day being more mindful, maybe protecting yourself a little bit. I'll talk more about that at the end. And just noticing that you have an opportunity to practice your alternate emotions in that scenario and say, okay, this is something that normally erodes away at my peace. I'm going to have my eyes wide open and I'm going to be watchful for that. And I'm going to see what I can do to prevent that from happening. This is my inner being, my inner sanctuary. And I'm going to see if I can protect myself from this thing that typically erodes away at me, right? A conversation with a family member, conversation with your partner, conversation with a coworker. If these are some things that typically trigger you or make you anxious or whatever, these are your opportunities. You can scan your calendar and say, these are what normally take me away from my peace. How can I be mindful of that today and see if I can mitigate that? So that's your first opportunity. And then the second opportunity in your calendar is the exact opposite, is, okay, where are moments of joy in my day? Where are moments of fierce acceptance and joy? And where will it be easy for me to make these come alive? And how can I really capitalize on that? How can I really step into that? How can I really maximize that for myself so that in the moments, so that I don't look back on my day and say, oh, that was a real joyful moment, but I guess I didn't really celebrate it or whatever. And for me, that would be times with people that I love, times with my nieces, times with, all these people or whatever, by yoga, right? And so you can look and yoga is a great place to practice acceptance, right? And that way, when you step on your mat, it's not just checking off the box of doing yoga, you're checking off the box of doing yoga and you're contributing distinctly to your inner state. You're building up your inner state. You're building up that reservoir inside so that when you get to the meeting later, you have more stores. Does this make any sense? Do you see where I'm going with this? So these are my ideas about how to create an internal sanctuary for yourself, and then how to go about your day and build it up and be aware of the places that typically tear it down. Okay. So first of all, we're just going to take a 10-minute practice here. So before we do anything, I'd invite you to stand up and just shake your body. Shake your body, shake your body, shake your body. Shake your arms, shake your legs, shake everything. You can jump, shake your hands, your fingers, everything, blah, 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 just shake it all out. So that's always a great first step to just clear your nervous system. I say this all the time, but did you know that humans are the only mammals that don't routinely shake? If you watch your dogs or your cats, when they get in a fight, when they get scared, when anything happens, they get activated, the first thing they do is they shake it off, clear their nervous system, and then they're good to go. But we humans, we just hold on to everything until we die, right? So that's why the practice of yoga, these physical embodiment practices, are so important, right? That we can clear space. So hopefully you got up and shaked, and now you can sit back down and come into your space. So you can lay down, you can lean up against a wall, you can, whatever you want to do, comfortable meditative seat to make yourself comfortable. Again, no rules here, just whatever you need to do to position your body so that this can all get in. So, go inward, close your eyes, breathe in and out, slow, deep, and full. When you do this on your own, you might even use an eye mask or an eye pillow. And you might even put some music or something in your ears. In yoga, it's this idea of blocking out the outside world, of taking away all the senses and going deeply inward, right? And sometimes you can use tools to do that, earplugs or an eye mask, to really just cut yourself off from the outside world. So start to do that right here, right now. Whatever tethers bind you to the outside experience that pull you outside of yourself. Just sort of sever those tethers for right now. Go deeply inward with your eyes, with your ears, with your breath. Just sort of feel around the nooks and the crannies and the caverns of your experience. Just notice how you feel. And if it's unwanted, if it doesn't feel good, that's okay. Just lots of compassion for however it is that you feel right here, right now. It's all perfect. Nothing to fix, nothing to change, just everything to notice and be with. So breathe. And then start to breathe even more deeply. You might even, if you're familiar, practice Ujjayi pranayama inside of yourself. So that breath is like a slight constriction along the back of your throat, like an ocean wave. So as you inhale, you can hear the breath inside of your skull. And as you exhale, you can hear the breath inside of your skull. It's almost like Darth Vader. That sound, that oceanic sound, can be another way to practice pratyahara, that inward direction of your senses, right? And so it's almost as like the sound of the breath just fills up your mind and displaces any thoughts, any distractions, anything that pulls you outward. So feel the sensation of your breath just truly filling you from the inside out, not just your chest cavity, but your head, your brain, your skull, all of you. Feel your breath fill you up and displace anything else. And then I'll share with you the vision that works for me. As you breathe, get in touch with those alternate emotions that we established earlier today. That sense of acceptance, sense of joy, whatever it is for you that's on the other side of your unwanted emotion. So just start to feel that right now. Start to tap into the feelings of peace, of acceptance, of love, of generosity, of joy, whatever's on the other side of what you're currently experiencing. Really start to feel that right now. And put that feeling just at the center of your heart in like the seed of a flower. And then as you breathe, just bigger and bigger and bigger, feel that flower inside of your chest begin to bloom. Just see its petals begin to ripple and unfold outward to start to encompass the cavity of your chest, your heart space, your lung space. See the seeds start to unfurl and unfold inside of you, just filling your inner world with whatever it is that you seek, filling your inner world with peace, with acceptance, with understanding and compassion. And then that flower has friends. So start to see the vines begin to unwind and unfurl. Maybe they ripple through your rib cage and start to expand out through your ribs, through your chest, into your shoulders, into your arms and hands. Allow these blossoms, these blooms to grow through your whole body. Beautiful flowers, beautiful, brilliant blooms, colors just radiating inside of you. Displacing, literally pushing out anything that's unwanted and filling the space inside of you with everything that you want instead. Don't try to figure it out in your mind. Your mind will literally turn on and say, you can't do that. That's not going to work. It won't last. Yeah, but what about that? That's okay. That's what brains are supposed to do. When that happens, just turn up your breath and see if you can ignore it. See if you can just choose not to interact with those thoughts. Just let them be. Put a pin in them. Just set them to the side. Don't deal with them right now. Instead, just allow yourself to tap into these amazing feelings. Don't let your mind talk you out of it. Just stay here. Keep breathing into your body. Keep breathing into the blossoms. Keep blooming and growing. Allow the vines to course through your whole system, filling you up with the goodness, filling you up with the goodness, filling you up with the goodness again and again and again. As the unwanted feelings or sensations start to creep in, say, no, not right now. This isn't your time. We can talk more later, but for now, I have peace inside. I'm building peace and I'm protecting it. So no, you can't come in right now. This isn't your time. Right? And just keep holding space for these good feelings. Keep holding space for these wanted feelings. Keep growing your blooms inside of you. It might even help to just bring a soft smile to your lips, right? Just to send a signal to your body that this is goodness. This is your time to feel peace, to have your inner sanctuary belong to you, to create the types of feelings inside that you want to live in. This is your time, your space. Nothing else can come in. Nothing else is welcome right now. This is your time. This is for you. Don't let it in. When the mind starts to perk up, just breathe bigger and say, no, thank you. Not right now. And know that this is a practice. This is a discipline, just like yoga, just like the breath, to say, no, thank you. Those thoughts are not welcome now. Those feelings are not welcome now. I need a break. I need to function. I need to be whole inside, and I cannot be whole when you keep coming at me with all this bullshit, right? So don't come at me right now. I deserve to be whole. I protect myself from this barrage of thoughts. I protect myself from this barrage of feelings. I protect myself from my habitual feelings, and instead I grow these flowers, grow these blossoms, grow these blooms over and over, again and again. Just breathe in the sweetness. Breathe in the peace. Breathe in the joy. Breathe in the delight of experiencing harmony with yourself right here, right now. Soak it all in these last few moments. As you're ready, take a full breath in and a full breath out. Now, as you're ready, not too fast, start to just blink your eyes open. Gently come back. Come back into the world, and before we do anything at all, let's zip this up. So just take your hands from the base of your pelvis and then sweep up 1 time, sweep up 2 times, sweep up 3 times. It always has to be multiples of 3, okay? You can zip up 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever it is, zip up 3 times. And so now this is your inner world, right? You've zipped it up, you've protected it, it belongs to you. So now, look at your calendar. What are the opportunities that you have today to keep building this up? What are you scheduled to do today that's going to erode this away, right? And who do you need to be? And how can you show up in your day today to lean into your opportunities, to build up your inner sanctuary, and to protect yourself from the things that tend to erode it? Okay, my friends, I think that's what I have for you today. If I could sum all of this up, I would like to say that we have, I believe, some sort of thinking error that achieving peace or being happy or having the life of our dreams, getting emotional, is somehow going to be automatic. That if we want it, it's just somehow, someday, one day, going to just magically happen. And I implore you, I beseech you, I used that in yoga this week and it really cracked me up. So I'll use it again. I beseech you to do your own work, because I know that none of this just happens automatically. I know for a fact that none of this will magically happen simply because you long for it. That we must teach ourselves how to be in our bodies, that we must teach ourselves how to regulate our nervous systems. And no one, this doesn't get taught in schools. Like, our parents didn't teach us this, their parents didn't teach them. Like, it's just, you can't teach what you don't know. And so now as adults, we're responsible for learning this for ourselves. And so, just like yoga, just like CrossFit, just like cooking, just like your job, just like your relationship, everything worth doing takes intention and effort. And also, anything you do for the first time, or anytime you do something that's a big change from the way you were doing it before, it always takes more intention and more effort and frankly more work at the beginning. Like, that's just how pathways work. That's how brain pathways works. That's how neurological pathways work in the body, right? It's just the game. So please don't be discouraged when these things don't automatically happen for you. That's literally my job, is to teach people how to take these things that we think are automatic and put together the pieces so that you can actually practice building these skills in your life, and then they belong to you, right? Then they belong to you. They become part of who you are, and you don't have to work so hard for them, right? But if I could offer you one thing, it's that, like, I have found that being happy and being at peace and staying on the track of my own energy is not something that just happens. It's something that takes intention and focus and mindfulness, and it's something that we participate in every day. So you get to decide how it is that you want to participate. And I hope that this tool was helpful for you today.